Hey there, baseball fans. Welcome to another edition of the Prep Baseball of North Carolina podcast. I'm Brandon Hall, State Director here in North Carolina. Alongside me today, we're talking Eastern North Carolina baseball. Coach Aaron Reimer. Coach, how are we?
Good, man. Glad to be home. Long drive home.
Yeah, we were scheduled to go a little earlier today, and you took the long way home from what I heard.
I gave you a warning, though. I said, hey, man, 4:15 is hard because of traffic. You never know.
Right. So we're going to jump into the day. We had an exciting weekend this past weekend in Wilmington. It's good for me. I played there, coached there, chance to get home. Although I drive in there now, I don't know where anything is anymore because it's gotten significantly bigger since when I was there. But we were in a fantastic facility, the Yard House in Wilmington, North Carolina. Was that your first time there?
That was the first time I've been in there. Man, talk about exactly what you want as far as a facility to be able to do anything. Wide open, plenty of cages, really nice place.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job. Plenty of space for us to move around and do the things that we needed to do. And let's jump into that event and talk a little bit about some of the players that we saw there. Just initially, anybody that kind of stood out to you as we just jump into kind of what we saw on that day.
Yeah, I knew the Wiedemeyer kid, Karsten. That dude's a player. But first time I got to see Graham, is it Virag? Yeah, that kid's good. Steps in the box, he gets the ground balls and I'm holding the gun. And it's like, all right, let's pay attention to make sure you don't get hit here. That's when I, kind of opened my eyes. I was like, all right, we got a player here. Let's keep eyes on him. The another kid I really liked was the catcher from Whiteville, Briley Tedder. Just seemed like a real nice kid. Came and talked to us early. Watched him play. Got him behind the dish. Everything was just real smooth and effortless. Simple approach. Good feel for the barrel. Had a really, really good second round of BP. Just 2028. I think Whiteville's got a pretty good catcher down there.
Yeah, he did a really good job. We'll pull up some of his stats here. 98-1 off the bat. And, talking to him, I don't know that he's been to a lot of these types of events. And so, one of the things that you see in some of these players is you can see, hey, the numbers are going to get better if he just goes through the process again. Not that we're saying, hey, come back immediately. Take what kind of happened and let's learn from it. Let's grow. Let's move on. But the strength in the hand stood out, and then the want to and desire. One of the things that we evaluate in catchers is that ability to want to be back there, to want to have the gear on, to want to be beat up a little bit. There was a willingness with him. He wanted the guys he was receiving. He wanted the guys that he was catching to be really good.
Yeah.
He was trying to, I call him a glove puncher. Catch a pitch and immediately he's punching the glove of the pitcher and going, "Atta baby." The strength off the bat was okay, but you could see more in there. It's a left-handed hitter. I think there's a chance that he's going to kind of continue to grow. And obviously, the Whiteville program fairly well. They don't get worse there, do they?
No, there's not a whole lot to do in Whiteville except be good at baseball. No offense to Whiteville whatsoever, but they've done a great job over the years. And like I said, he came and talked to me early, and it just seemed like a really good kid you want to play, that you want to play for, or that you want playing for you. Excuse me. Those kind of kids, especially in that event where it's kind of about look at me. He seemed like a team guy, and just everything was really, really good.
Let's pull a little video up one here. Left-handed hitter. You can see it's just there's balance in there. Stable head, strong hands. There's some whip in the bat. The body's got strength in it. I thought he had a very good day.
Tedder.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't elevating, and everything was on the line, nice and like I wrote down, really smooth, simple swing. And just found barrel after barrel in the cage.
I'm going to see if I can't pull up Graham very as well. Graham's numbers jumped off the page. I mean, again, we talk about there's guys that have been to these events and we've seen and we have a little bit better feel. And there's some comfort in what's going on. The second round he took in BP, that may be the best event BP I've seen in a long time, just in terms of 7 or 8 swings and how it kind of played out. It was extremely. But I think, and I got to go back and look, but I think every swing in that round was over 100-mile-an-hour exit velocity.
Yes. It started at 101 and climbed every swing.
You can see it's an athletic body. It's still lean. It's still young. I love the stability in his bat head. He's got a little tip in there, which is fine if your hands are strong enough to handle it. The head's stable. This is from the first round, and it was a good round. There was some loud. That ball was loud, but it was the second round that really stood out. You watch him. He's a little bit of a throwback player in terms of a lot of guys today. They have their position. This is where I play. This is what I do. Graham's a baseball player, infielder, outfielder. Put him wherever you need him. The bat's got a chance to play, and that's what guys are going to like.
Yeah, both of them, like him and the Tedder kid, they walked in like just they were here to go to work. A lot of these events, you'll see guys go to the big name guy, or a guy will be flashy with he'll have some popcorn batting gloves and 16 accessories, and these two kids just walked in and said, all right, here we go, let's get to work.
No doubt, and we love that. I think with Graham too, he hung back just a little bit. We were running a Rising Stars event on top of it. There were a couple different times where I saw him kind of hanging back with the 7th and 8th graders, and there's a point to what we're doing with that. Obviously, we're wanting to see younger players, but it's not really about can they show us how good they are. That's 7th grade. I really don't care. It's more about this is what the high school tryout process is going to be. This is what a combine event's going to be. This is what a college, recruiting camp is going to be like. Show up, put up numbers. You got a limited amount of time to kind of show what you do. And so those players kind of getting acclimated to that process, us being able to walk them through it. Graham being a guy that's been in this process a little bit, there was some comfort just being there in the day, even though I think he was one of our furthest travelers, coming from the Triangle area. We had a lot of Wilmington guys, which was great. But there was some comfort in what was going on. So I know that the other name you mentioned was a guy that I was extremely excited to see, Karsten Wiedemeyer. He was a guy, we have some familiarity with him because he was a junior Future Games guy when he was in Virginia. He went with Team Mid-Atlantic to the junior Future Games when he was finishing his 8th grade, going in his 9th grade year. I've gotten out there a couple times to Wilmington. I've seen him. I've seen Laney. He's developed into a really good athlete. He's developed into a really good player. He put up some really good numbers. What did you see in Karsten? You actually got a chance to see him 2 straight days.
Yeah, the body looks good. He's got just a little bit to clean up with the timing, but when he's on time, man, it's loud. And you talk about athletic. That dude is really athletic. I've coached against him, and you do whatever you can to keep him off first base, and it's not easy because he can beat you he can beat you bunting, driving the ball over your head, hitting it to the opposite field. Just all around really, really good player. And when he gets on, buddy, it's go time.
He was another one of those guys that the second round stood out. And I got video here on the first round that we posted, and there were a couple balls that weren't on the barrel. The second round was really, really good. But the thing I love about the stance is again, he's got control of the barrel into his launch position, the head stable. There's bat speed. Even on the ball, he just tips right there. There's bat speed. And again, we're hitting off the machines. That first round, I probably shouldn't video in terms of trying to put that out on social media. But, trying to get this stuff done. His athleticism stood out, and one of the reasons Laney made that run last year was, again, the pressure their offense supplied. It wasn't a dynamic offense, 1 to 9. They had a couple guys in the middle that had really, really good senior years and provided some thump when needed. But it was the ability to kind of create some havoc and create some chaos that allowed that pitching staff to really get going. And they had an ace on the front end. We're going to dive into the Eastern North Carolina, team previews and who's hot and who's not and that type of stuff. Laney's going to be a team that's going to be hard to reckon with. Again, great experience last year on the run to the state championship series, and now returning players like this for this year with that experience and the understanding of how to work through that tournament.
Yeah, I think really, in all reality, they lost one guy. The rest of them are all back, and if just talking with his dad helps coaches. He I think he played at East Carolina, so he's a heck of a ball player. They just got good people around them. Bradley does a great job there. They're going to be a problem.
We're going to continue to kind of dive into the Wilmington preseason ID. Our first story is populated today. So some quick hitters looks on the hitters, on the pitchers, guys that stood out. Again, those quick hitters are the kind of the first thing that we see. It's the first notes that we have. It's that ability for us to kind of dissect initially what's going on. But, Coach, you've been through this now with a couple of events. We're putting out these quick hitters. We're putting out these quick notes. But then we start diving into the meat of what really happened, and we really kind of get a better feel, a better sense of what we saw. And I tell you what, let's go into it. Preseason All-State East, an event that, boy, all four preseason All-States were good.
Yeah.
But the East set the tone as the first one, and just, here's the best players. Here's what they're going to do, one after another, seeing their numbers jump. As you've gotten further into that event, kind of what have you noticed, some trends or some other names that have popped out?
Yeah, I hate to bang them, but I spent all day today really diving into the 29s. I was going to get into the 28s, 27s tomorrow, but man, Laney's got two really good ones.
Yeah.
The Connor Stein kid and Logan Granger, really, really good. It's hard with the 29s because you don't know where they're going to be, and you're trying to put numbers on them and things like that. So you just do the best you can with what you got. But those two big boys, really, really good.
Yeah, it's one of those deals that with the 29s, you're trying to figure out how does it play, where is it at, where is it going to go. We're going to pull Connor back up here and let the video play for a little bit from, what we saw. And it's a young body. I mean, you look and there's some movement. There's a little bit of stiffness in there. There's a little bit of, where it gets caught. But is he 6'5"?
He's big. I know that.
200. I mean, that's
yeah.
It's a you can understand why there's the movement patterns are still developing. I mean, it's a baby giraffe right there.
Yeah.
Where he's got a chance to be, but even at that size, look at where the pitches are. I mean, this is pitch after pitch after pitch, and he's in the frame of the catcher. Guys at this age, at this size, don't do that a lot, and so that's a difference maker right there.
And it's smooth. I mean, that is easy. Like he's going for a Sunday stroll down the mound.
Yeah, and Granger's one that I have a little bit more familiarity with. Logan went with us to Junior Future Games last year, and really was a little bit of a breakout star. And you can see the movement pattern is a little bit more developed here. There's a little bit more looseness in the hips. The arm swing is a little bit better. And just in terms of the looseness and the load through the scap, there's some whip out front. There's already some definition in the lower half. He's going to be a strong kid. But it's that feel for changeup. It's that feel for pitching. You see a little bit of a bend right there in the slider. It's got some late action. It's got a chance to miss bats. The development of the stuff is coming after the development of pitching. And you've coached guys. How hard is it, at the high school level, taking a guy that has, swing and miss stuff, but sprays it everywhere, trying to develop the command and control of pitchability versus the guy that can already pitch. And now we can develop strength and arm speed and the stuff as we go.
That is the question every baseball coach wants to solve. I mean, you're looking at these guys like, man, that's electric. You can't teach electric,
right?
But can you get them in the zone? Those guys. I always said potential is the most dangerous thing in the world because you can lose a whole lot of baseball games off of potential. Some of the best arms I've ever had were 76 to 79 if you're just looking at outcomes. I do a lot in the summer where, I throw, I'm not going to say his name, but we had a 92 to 94 mile an hour arm, just pure electric slider. We run him out to start the game. And as soon as he's warming up, I'm sending somebody to the bullpen to get loose as well, just because you don't know what's coming.
Right. Yeah, it's and one of the things that when you're at the college level, it's important to have the ability to maybe get guys to the big leagues.
Yes.
From a recruiting standpoint, we want to do that. But what's more important is being able to pay my mortgage.
Correct.
And they pay me on, we got to win games and we got to develop guys that are there. So, we talked about in our office, when we're out recruiting, we're recruiting guys that have a chance they have that high ceiling. They got a huge payoff potentially. Maybe their floor is low, but you're taking some risk. You can't do that on everybody. You can't have a bunch of low floors and high ceilings, but you're trying to get as high ceiling a guy as you can and put them in your developmental system and see what happens.
Yeah.
When you get to February 15th and we start teeing it up, we spend a ton of time on scouting reports, and we've got these things in their boxes, and this is checked. We're going to attack this guy here. We're going to attack this guy here. When they get to this section of the lineup, we're coming left-handed. When they get we do all that. If the guy can't execute the game plan, if he's got an elite slider, but we can't throw slider for a strike, they're going to have a game plan too.
Yeah.
And so now we're just going to the next guy. And so there's that idea of, can I manage the game? Where it becomes special is when you have elite level stuff and a game manager. He controls a run game. He controls a short game. He floods the zone. He can pitch in. He can pitch out. He can pitch up. He can pitch down. Now I can check all these boxes, and no matter who gets in the box, I can go, we can attack him at his weakness.
Yeah.
The second part of that is, let's say the guy doesn't have that ceiling. He doesn't have that elite stuff, but he checks a couple boxes. He really commands glove side. He really commands slider. Slider has a chance to miss bats. Okay, we're gonna stay to that, and I can manage the game with that. If I get a bad matchup and there's a runner on second, we can walk that guy and go to first. Right. If I get a bad matchup and we're gonna stay to our strengths. I don't have to go to a weakness. And then as I get later in the game and we get into high leverage situations, and I see a situation coming where it may not be the best matchup. We know we faced the lineup once all the way through, second time through, third time through. This matchup's 3 or 4 hitters away. Guess what I'm going to have? I'm going to have other options.
You got options.
And I'm not doing that from a standpoint of, oh my gosh, we got to get him out of there. I'm doing it from a standpoint of, we're going to manage the game. We're going to control who faces who, and we're going to attack guys that way. So that ability to have pitchability first and then develop stuff allows that to happen. The other thing we've seen, and you've seen it and been around it, the ability for guys at this age, and we're seeing it, Vierig's a 104 exit velocity. We weren't seeing 104 off TrackMan 4 years ago. The development of these players are getting so much more feedback and so many more things saying, hey, when you do X, this happens. When you do Y, this happens. If X is better than Y, do X more often.
Right.
We can talk about load and leverage and hip coil and front side and all that. Dude, that pitch was 88 and that one was 84. Do the one that did 88. There's coaching. Have at it. And players take to that, yeah?
Yes. The number of times I told hitters to eliminate that side of the field, just eliminate it, because when you go there, it's bad.
Yeah.
I was a guy, pull side gap was my bread and butter. I lived in it. Now you could spin me into the ground all day on changeups, right. But I made my money on not missing fastballs. You got to find something that you can be really good at, and execution is the big thing. I mean, if I'd have missed fastballs, I'd have been on the bench.
And I think that plays to a little bit of what we do and how people can use our information. It's that idea of know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
Yeah.
As we get into this time of the year, let's accentuate strengths.
Yeah.
If I can't throw a changeup, I'm not going to experiment with it in the 6th inning of a 1-run game.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to. Let's go to our strengths. Strength is arm side fastball and slider. Let's stay arm side fastball and slider. We're going to live and die by that. But then as I get into the summer or the fall, or depending on my age range and what is most important in my development, now I can say, hey, I'm going to throw 20% changeup today. I don't care what the situation is. I'm throwing it.
Right.
And if I get beat, I get beat. But I'm going to figure out a way for changeup to become a weapon. I'm going to figure out a way for arm side fastball to become a weapon. We're going to figure out these things, and we're going to let it ride. But that idea that they're getting the feedback, they understand strengths, they understand weaknesses. Now we have a chance to attack with it. I think that's one of the reasons you've seen, the game kind of explode in terms of younger players, being more. And some of us they have to be because there's kids are spread out. There's more high schools, but there's more players. I've seen multiple already just being out a couple days here. Multiple high school players ready as freshmen to be in the lineup.
Yeah. But, back to what you were talking about, there are coaches that want the electric. They want the high end number, and they think, and some can. I mean, you do a good job with the right kid with the right coach, they can take that number or that slider and they can figure it out. And when you do, it's magic. I mean, it's magic. I was looking at the Durant kid out of, I think he's a Pro 5, Grayson.
Yep.
Talk about raw.
Right.
I mean, like he's 14, 15 and 106 off the bat. Huge. Whether he has success or not, I mean, he's still real young, but there's going to be people like, I don't know that there's enough people that can hit the ball as hard as he does. So he's already above where they are. You get them with the right coaching staff and they do a great job at Pro 5.
Right.
That kid can develop higher than other kids on the list.
Yeah, and the body suggests that. Grayson's another guy that was a junior future games guy with us, and so we got a chance to be around him for a full week. And it's not just physical skill. I mean, there's some knowledge and some base to what he's trying to do in terms of his development. There's still room to grow. You watch him go, man. There's so many things he does well, and there's also so many things you just give that a little time, get a little stronger, get a little quicker. But like you said, just looking at the raw numbers, it's a 94 mile an hour exit velocity, 85. He's within range. He's making solid contact. The bat speed number is pretty good right there. Already above 70 miles an hour. We've seen him run sub 7 on the 30. This summer he ran sub 4. So there's some athleticism there, and we're seeing 76 already out of the crouch. So the physical tools are there, and now it's about that molding and that, and again, he's what are we listing? 6'1", 168. I mean, he's going to be 180, 185 without trying when he leaves high school. And that's just going to play into what he has a chance to be.
I didn't get to see, I know the South Central won their ball game. How did my boy Thompson do?
I had a couple knocks, and I was just happy to see him back in the lineup. He had the injury last year with I think it was a hip. Nothing. I'm looking for the T's here. Nothing big, but just sets him back a little bit and trying to get that figured out. But he's a different animal here now. It's physical, it's quick, it's explosive. That bat speed's different. The way the ball comes off the bat, 104.7, 91 average. Watching from here, it's scary if you're the guy feeding. That ball hits the machine in the wrong angle, you're in a little bit of trouble. So he had a good night. They as a program played pretty well. Isaiah James threw 2 innings, punched 5, gave up one earned. But they're in a position, with him and with Chase White behind the plate as well. Chase is another guy that really showed well at this event. He on the bump and behind the plate. But the arm strength here, I mean, goodness gracious, the ball's carrying out of his hand. What was he? Holy mackerel. 84 out, and that's an elite level number. Yeah. The pop times, it's a workout. There's a lot of ways to cheat it. I'm looking for accuracy. I'm looking for carry. That carry is different. 84 is different. He's going to make a coach very, very happy in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, when you see these numbers, it's just a separator. I mean, there's kids there that may not ever be able to do that.
Right.
God-given, and hopefully he goes as far as he can with it.
Well, it's one of those things too. We see catchers all the time who can load up, and they can, you can shuffle throw.
Oh yeah,
84. They see him in the outfield, and they're trying
to throw across the infield.
Right. You get the guy that's doing the dive, the crow hop, the running start, and then the dive. Yeah. So that was a natural catch and throw. He didn't have to do more than that. I actually saw last night going to games, I saw 2 really good catchers. Hudson Tuttle's a Wofford commit out of Reagan High School. I think he threw out 2 runners for Reagan. And then Myers Parks catcher was actually with us at future games. And he is, oh my gosh, the name's on the tip of my tongue. He's a 2026. He's uncommitted. Let's just do it this way. I'll go to rankings. You guys won't be able to see it because I'm going to cover this, and maybe I'll even cut this out. You don't know. Well, I'm not going to cut this out. It's too much trouble. But seeing catchers that can catch and throw and control a game, Addison Rowland.
Yes.
Addison was with us at Future Games a couple of years ago. Is now at Myers Park. I think he threw out 2 runners. He picked a guy off as well. Maybe Hudson picked a guy off. But it was just, guys, and it wasn't just the arm strength. It was their ability to block and recover. It was their ability to kind of control run game in a number of different ways, allowing their pitchers to be a little bit more gathered over the bump, to be a little bit more controlled as they're going through and throwing strikes. And you look across the state, the number of catchers that are playing at a really high level. That's the group for me that's been hurt the most out of, 5th, 6th, 7th year seniors. The COVID stuff, the roster limitations. Now we've got a stockpile of catchers in North Carolina fighting for places to go. Right. Tice won't be one of those guys. He's going to find a place. I know Addison's probably in the mix, and he's had some options and just kind of waiting it out and trying to figure out where he's going to go. And then Hudson's already found his place. So, there's a plethora of talent in the state. There's always guys looking. There's always guys getting better. But Tice Thompson's going to be a name to follow as we kind of go through the draft process in the next couple of years here. Let's move forward to something that we did. Now, one of the things that we do is we spend a lot of time in the preseason going through. There we go. I'll do me. There we go. We spend a lot of time in the preseason going through high schools, what they're returning, what they have back, names, numbers, stats, how they were last year. We get coaches' feedback. We had over 90 coaches, I think, send back the preview information, the questionnaire. And based on those guys sending that stuff back in, the work that we're doing, we do high school previews. And so we're going to kind of go around the state here in the next couple of weeks, just talking about some of the high school teams in different regions. And, Coach, you're really familiar with the eastern side of the state. You're in Wilmington. You've coached the high school level there. You've been out and seen some games already this year. You know a lot of the high school coaches there. Talk to me without getting too specific just yet, but talk to me a little bit about the strength of the region and what you're looking forward to with the spring.
Man, it is strong. We've got a couple really rural schools, but eastern side of the state, Wilmington, Brunswick County, Greenville, places like off the top of my head here, Carteret County. Yep. They love their baseball down here and are pretty daggone good at it. Several
teams I think will have a chance, and it's the new system. We got 8As now. I can't tell you who's in 1A or 4A or 8A. I've tried to kind of start looking at it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I know bigger is 8, smaller is 1, but we have conferences that have 4 classifications in there at times. A lot of them have 2. So trying to figure out how teams are, I think just about everybody's going to make the state playoffs, and kind of get through. But that state playoff setup and where that line is drawn east and west is going to be different for 8A than it's going to be for 5A.
Right.
It may be shifted one way or the other based on the number of teams that are on those sides and the number of teams that make the tournament. So trying to figure out who gets through is going to be different.
Yeah, there may be some long travel between the beach and the mountains, just depending on where that line falls.
That's it. So let's go through. I'm going to pull up the Power 25 here. Stop screen. There we go. And just talk through a little bit of some of these teams that have a chance to maybe make that run. I think this was the one. We have to go back. There we go. Power 25. Yeah. Talk through some of these chances. I know we talked a little bit, but the first one at number 25 is East Carteret.
East Carteret, man. Listen, I didn't know a whole lot about them until I really dove into their numbers. Small school. I think they could play with the big boys. I kind of wish that they had a tougher schedule, but you can only play who's on your schedule. I mean, it is what it is. But they lost one game in the playoffs last year. I think it was their only loss, and they returned everything. Like everything is back. So in 2A, I think they've got a real shot.
Yeah, they were one of those programs where last year we were doing the Power 25 and trying to figure out how they fit in.
Yeah, that was, I sent you a message on them guys. It's just, they are playing Rose this year. That game is on the schedule. I'm gonna try to get down there for that one, just to see what those guys do. We used to go to the Moorhead Easter tournament, spring break, and them guys down at Carteret County do a great job with their facilities, and really nice people to work with. So it is a smaller school. So who they are playing, kind of leaves some questions to be asked, but the numbers they're putting up are legit.
Yeah. As we continue to kind of move through, see if I can pull this back up. There we go. The next one I kind of see, we've talked a little bit about South Central.
Yeah, South Central.
They got a legitimate one. Isaiah, that's different. And, they got some depth.
Yeah. If James is in the zone, buddy, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
The first number I looked for when I saw their the quick hitter on them guys was James's walks, and he only walked 1 in 2 innings. So if that's the case, then buckle up.
We got their preview here. They went 16-8 last year. That they battled through injuries. I mean, they had a rash of just different things hitting different guys. We talked about Isaiah. We talked about Tice. Chase White gives them a second potential type ace with his stuff. Justin Blow, has had a good high school career to this point, and right in the pitcher utility in the 2027 class.
Yeah, we played South Central for a long time, and Pat's coached when his teams weren't very good, and he's a guy that can figure out a way. Super aggressive on the bases when they had the guys to be super aggressive. I mean, they do things. They play to their strengths. That's the best way to put it. When I watched them play in the state championship versus East Rowan, and they hadn't attempted a stolen base yet, I was like, what is this? But I mean, they were a team that pounded the baseball and didn't run as well. I've seen them bunt 8 times in a game before. I mean, one thing that stuck out with me is every time a runner got on, everybody in the infield said how many outs there were and where they were going on a double cut.
Yep.
So they're coached up really well.
The thing for me in doing Horn, they made that run a couple years ago and got East Rowan, and it was everybody I talked to was like, it's unorthodox. It's fundamentally sound. It's not weird. It's just unorthodox because they buy into the system and they play in the system, and they speed you up. Everybody talks about we're going to go first to third. They go first to third. It doesn't matter, especially this time of year. It didn't matter. Ball hit right at a guy to one hopper. They're going to make him throw. Second, if you're on second base, the ball got in the outfield, you're going. And some of that was that athleticism of that club and the reason they made that state championship series run. But some of that's just that style. And so you're a high school coach. You're in the state playoffs. Throughout the entire year, you're kind of the better team on the field because you're a playoff team. Let's show up. Let's be us. Now we get into the quarterfinals, the semifinals, or whatever, and now we're going to face this team. We know who they are. We have 2 days to prepare. We made semifinals and finals. We're going to face them 3 times. Here's the scouting report. Here's what we're going to do. And everything I'm telling you is every time the ball's hit, they are trying to get an extra base. You go into the game sped up.
Yeah.
Because now it's about them because of their style of play. And I think that's one of the interesting things now that it's kind of a little bit of a known commodity. How do they react to that? I think the other thing that's interesting on them, and we're going to get to some of the other teams above them, is their ability to win Greenville.
Yeah.
There's going to be some confidence that just comes out of being the top team in Greenville.
Yeah.
Knowing we can kind of get through that. So we'll kind of get to that as we're going through. We'll pull let's pull the Power 25 back up here. There it is.
I think they'll be 5A.
South Central is 3A. Yeah, that'll be interesting too. It's trying to figure out how that works.
They're not 3A.
They're not? Are you sure?
Yeah. They're either 5 or 6.
I'm looking it up right now. This is the great thing about Google as we go.
I mean, 3A is
NCH SAA 3A classification. That's per AI though. So I mean, it can lie. It can be lying to me.
I think that's last year's.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
It says 2026. That says 2025. We'll figure it out. I'll update the Power 25 if that's wrong. But again, that's part of the deal with everybody jumping around right now is we think we know and we may be off. So, feel free. If we did something wrong, we want to know. It's, I would much rather go watch players and try and figure out what classifications are. So some of this is going to be off here and there. Just ping us. We go up the ladder a little bit more. We see Rose at number 14. I've got Rose as a 6A. So yeah, South Central's got to be closer to that.
South Central 7A. They're 7A.
They're 7A. Okay.
Yeah.
So Rose 6A, South Central 7A. We'll get that updated. J.H. Rose, Ronald Vincent, is a guy that's been through every battle you're going to go through as a high school coach, dealing with his team, dealing with other teams, dealing with state tournaments, a ton of respect in that city, in that county, in this state, and his players play very hard for him. There's also a history of developing guys. Guys go in there and they get better. What do you got on Rose as we start looking ahead to where they may lie in 2026?
They've got guys. I don't think they have the big arm, but they've got quite a few really, really, really good ones.
Right.
Guys that win baseball games, and I don't think anybody, maybe in the nation, knows more about winning high school baseball games than RV. Those guys are in that area. They're always going to come out battle tested. So getting those guys drawn up in the playoffs, that is not a good draw.
I can remember back to we didn't deal with J.H. Rose when I was going through, but my brother was at Leedsville, and I remember him in Rose, and I was at that point I was recruiting a little bit. And you go in there and they always had the names. You knew this guy, you knew that guy, you knew that guy. But all of a sudden in a third or fourth game of the playoffs, they'd be in the third inning, and maybe their starter got in trouble out of nowhere. Now they're bringing in a guy.
Yeah.
And you go, where did this guy come from? He's thrown 8 innings all year or whatever, and this is the next guy.
Yeah.
And so they have that in line. I think the other thing that's really important what they do, Coach Vincent will bring a small army to a town now.
Yeah.
They don't turn away baseball players, which I love that. And he has a system in place to develop as many of those guys as possible. But those players buy into it. The lineup buys into it. There are really, really good players that are stuck behind really, really good players. And his best teams, that next guy up has been the best cheerleader for the guy in front of him.
Yeah.
He wants the job. He wants to play. But when the other guy's playing, he's his biggest cheerleader in terms of wanting him to do well. That's hard to do at any level, especially high school level when guys are, trying to figure out where they may be the next year.
Oh yeah. That's difficult to do as a human, cause you want to be out there. You're a competitor. You want to be on the field. But that's how you get good. You practice with people better than you.
No doubt. We continue to move up. We got Rose here at 14. I know there's more up here. We're going to keep going. Laney at number 4. We touched on Laney. You saw Laney this past weekend.
Yes, but they are physical.
Initial thoughts?
Physical. Topsail was playing New Bern. I look over to my right, and grown men come walking in. Those guys look the part. They're battle tested. They've got the athleticism to go with it. Great coaching staff. Picked up the Savelli kid, Dom Savelli, take over for TJ's. So they've got a real 1-2.
Yep.
If they can score enough runs, then they're going to be really tough to beat. And they've done a good job of scoring enough runs.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is they've kind of bought into who they have a chance to be.
Yeah.
In trying to define what that offense is going to be. They're scrappy 1-9. They're willing to do little things 1-9. They're willing to kind of put those things out front because they saw it pay off last year.
Yeah.
For me, I think there's some fear factor on other teams, and you hear it already, who's going to get Sproul?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are we going to get Sproul? Is Sproul going to throw on Tuesday? Is he going to throw on Friday? Are we getting Sproul? And trying to, when they get into serious type situations or teams going to, slough off in that game. And then, but having Savelli, Again, another guy that's just battle tested. And then they've got depth behind them. They've got some other guys that can run out there that are really good high school guys, maybe projected a little bit higher. They throw strikes, and then they play defense. There's an expectation in terms of what has to win. So I'm excited to see them. One of the fallbacks I talk about every year is how do senior laden teams handle post spring break.
Right.
So, and you've coached a little bit. You've been around it. I've seen some really, really good teams get to spring break and fall apart. And not because they're not working or this or that, but after you get to spring break, there's a lot of things that these seniors go through. We start doing rehearsals and we start doing, college interviews and superlatives and yearbooks. And there's all sorts of things that go on. Look to next year. It's the end. We're done. Look to next year. Meanwhile, baseball, we have 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
How did you handle that when you were coaching?
You remind them that they were there in August. You remind them that they were there in September. You remind them they were there in October. You don't let the intensity drop off as a coach. When you pack it up or let off the throttle a little bit, the kids will in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Especially teams that are really good, you got to continue to challenge them. If you go into the motions of doing the same thing over and over and over and over, kids get bored of it. So, you've got to constantly challenge those guys and, have kids that'll challenge themselves in practice.
As we continue to move up the Power 25, we're now inside the top 5 with Laney at 4. And number 2 in our Power 25, D.H. Conley, Coach Mills, every year he's got some arms, and he's got 3 really good ones this year.
Oh, gosh. He's probably got more than 3. We just don't know about them yet. Yeah. But the Stewart kid, Coach, he might end up being the best player in the state when it's all said and done.
I'm going to pull up their high school preview here. And, again, these high school previews are under the news tab. If you go to North Carolina, go to news. They're there. We're going to have it. There's a team preview section here as well. That'll link to these here in the next, probably by the time we post this, we'll have that updated. But we go to Conley here, click on Conley, and 25-2 last year, won 23 consecutive games, playing a lineup that had a bunch of had a freshman, a bunch of sophomores, had a senior that really got hot with the bat. Did some unique things with their lineup in the way they attacked people on the bump, developing some of those arms. But you look, Tucker Anderson, UNC Wilmington, Connor Berry, Pitt Community College, Colton Newbern, East Carolina, Ethan Stewart, outfielder, left-hand pitcher. He may be the best hitter in the country in the 2028 class as it continues to roll through. Willoughby, Brody Brandon was a South Central. Willoughby was at preseason All-State East. Brody Brandon's a South Central transfer who I think is down for a little bit of the season. He may be back later in the spring, but a potential dual guy at the next level. It's a really good arm. It's a really big bat. Trying to figure out how to use all these. Mills is going to have a really good feel for what's going on. The big bat they got to replace is Winfield.
Yeah, he was a player.
And it's a senior that, anchored the lineup, took some pressure off of, Stewart, took some pressure off of Kneidl. I don't know if I'm saying that right, the shortstop, who's a really good player. And so trying to figure out how they're going to fit in the next year. They got a plan. And again, Mills is going to play a really good schedule too as well.
Yeah, he finally. I talked him into actually playing some tough teams. But he was. They play hard, man. There is intensity at their games. And the guy they lost was their Coleman guy. Now the Willoughby kid, I think he just transferred in.
Yep.
And he's got a chance to be really good.
I'll pull up. Yeah, let's show everybody. I'm going to pull this up and share this too. We saw him in Wilmington this fall, and it was kind of a little bit of an unknown name for us. And he, obviously put up really good numbers. He came back preseason All-State East, and 6'1", 214. He's a catcher. Newbern's a catcher. I love the fact that high schools have 2 guys that can be back there and handle really good arms. From a standpoint of, you're not going to beat that one guy down, and if something does happen, you don't fall apart late in the year if you do have to go to a one guy system.
Yeah.
Offensively, right at 100 miles an hour, we've seen him run sub 7. He ran a 3.88. That was in October. Still moving really well. Again, we're going to see the arm here in a minute. 89 from the outfield, 80 from the crouch. The video here. He's a physical guy. That baby white didn't run 4 there. We should have probably let him run again if that was the only one he ran.
And there's
I didn't see that.
There's a lot left in that tank.
Yeah. Yeah, this is easy. I mean, the hand strength again. This isn't normal. I watch a ton of high school hitting video. The barrel being this still after it gets to the launch, waggle and wiggle is fine, but when you get loaded, it had better be still so that you know where it's at. And we've seen 3 guys whose average exit velocities are mimicking their max exit velocities. Are right in that general range. It's because pitch after pitch after pitch, they know where the barrel's at.
Yeah. The real question I got on him, and I think it was a 600 hitter last year, but at a small charter school.
Right.
So, and Mills has upped the schedule quite a bit. So how he'll adjust, but you talk about potential. It's in there.
He threw a little bit better in Wilmington. Sometimes these indoor places, the accuracy can wane because we got the field turned a little bit and things of that sort. He's an accurate enough thrower right now. For me, he's a guy that guys should be following in that class as well. So
yeah.
Eastern North Carolina is going to be really good, and you're not going to have to drive very far to find good games, are you?
That's the game plan.
Well,
wherever I go, there's a beach. So.
That's right. The team we didn't talk about, it's in the top, not in the top Power 25, but it is a team that I'm really interested in kind of following. You saw a little bit of them this past weekend as well as Topsail. Obviously, they've got a number one. They've got Rhett Britt. They've got that guy. But the rest of the roster, there's some guys in there. They got a shortstop pitcher that I'm kind of intrigued by. I'll pull him up as you're talking here. But what do you think of Topsail?
Really good. They're going to be tough all year. They're one that I think they're going to have to figure out a way to score some runs, especially if Todd's not having a great game. That dude, you talk about a guy that doesn't miss fastballs.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't miss fastballs. And to me, that's the mark of a good hitter. So he plans on, one pitch into the game, Topsail being up 1-0, or at least him standing on second base.
Gives you a chance.
After Britt, their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the mound are real similar, and really good arms that can win a lot of baseball games. They're really athletic. Coach Harris does a good job of taking extra bases on the base pass. They're a tough team to play, especially at third place, because you talk about wind, and that place gets windy.
I haven't been there a lot. Obviously Rhett's going to be a guy that I'm trying to see at some point. I'd like to see Gibson here, and we're watching Gibson Todd right now. There's a uncommitted, I think he's uncommitted senior.
Yeah,
he is uncommitted senior, 5'11", 187.
They walked off Jacksonville last night, which I really wanted to get up there to that game, but my wife had other plans for me.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
But they walked them off. Todd finished. Britt started. I think he went 2, and threw 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, and I think Todd finished the game for him. Yeah,
he's an intriguing dual prospect. There's upside to both.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably position player first if he's having to pick one. But if I'm a school, trying to expand my roster, he's going to have a chance to pitch in the fall if he can handle both and handle that workload.
Yeah.
We're going to give him that chance. I thought the slider had a chance to play. You can see a little bit of run and sink there. You can see some laxity in the arm as it kind of loads into the scap with some ease. There's the breaking ball. So there's some things he does really well. It's 5'11", 187. There's strength of what's going on. So, I still think he's kind of growing into what he has a chance to be, and he's going to have some people in there as Rhett throws. There's going to be people in there to kind of see him, trying to do their homework on Rhett. Everybody talks. So, he has a couple good games here in front of the right people, and there's going to be some schools if they're, they should already be on him.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out where he's going to be.
Playing those guys, I left Scott Sandlin alone. But when we played Topsail, it was the only time I said, hey, we're not throwing a first pitch fastball. Yeah, I make 2, maybe 3 requests a year, and all 3 of them were Gibson Todd centered.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the spring. I've already been out. I've had my cold weather date. Our scout blog is starting to populate, and so we'll pull that here real quick and just kind of show you how to get to the scout blog. I thought I just cut off everything. That would have been really bad. But if you're on our site, North Carolina, and you go to news, you can get to it from there. It's typically going to be somewhat near the top here. Inside the boxes, our daily scoreboard will update. And then our scout blog, you can go to the high school coverage, to drop down, click on scout blog. And then each week we'll have a different entry. So this week we've still got to update what I saw last night. We had some other scouts out last night, but saw Charlotte Christian and Gaston Christian, 2 top 15 teams in our Power 25. We've got player reports, we've got video, we've got stats, we've got velocity, we've got some game action. You were at Laney, Topsail, and Newbern scrimmaged, and so we have some video from that. So we're going to be out and about a bunch. We've got a bunch of stuff still to publish. I've just got to find time to get to the computer so I can do that. But for subscribers, that information will be there, and we'll continue to update that. Follow us on our socials. Had I think something like 15 videos posted yesterday on game action from the County Clash, which is something we're going to capitalize on. Mecklenburg County and Forsyth County, 3 teams from each. They're playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're supposed to play tonight, not going to play tonight because of the rain. But they'll play Friday, and then on Saturday, all those games are at Huff. On Saturday, they're going to Kannapolis, where the Cannonballers single A club plays, and they're going to play 3 games there with all 6 teams there on that day. I think, and I've already started approaching other areas. I think Greenville can do that. We can get those 3 in hosting. We can do it in Wilmington. Everybody wants to go to the beach. Raleigh, you can do, the Wake versus Orange. There's a lot of different counties in that area. So these are things that, we can look to continue to kind of grow the game. There's enough venues out there where we can do some really neat things and put some people in some seats, getting baseball rolling, especially if it's going to be 60 degrees like it's supposed to be tomorrow. Knock on wood. I am tired already of being bundled up. So
we're supposed to get rain tomorrow.
Yeah, life at the beach. A bad day's a rain day, right?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. It's been cold now. We've had some cold weather. Yeah, we were in Wilmington last week because of snow. Yeah. So that wasn't too long ago.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate you jumping on with me, buddy. Yes, for baseball fans out there, make sure you like and subscribe, because I'm technically supposed to tell you to do that anytime we're on YouTube. And hit us up. If you got questions, you got things we should cover, let us know in the comments. Send us something through X, direct, or even Instagram. We've got people checking that. Not hourly. I know some of you guys are scrolling on there constantly, but daily we've got somebody checking that stuff. So hit us up and let us know. For Aaron, I'm Brandon Hall. We'll see you guys at the field.